have had a interesting, crazy week. The Epstein files dropped again, and we have enough horror in these files that honestly, there's Stephen King books I have read that weren't as bad as what's in these files.
They're so bad that when I asked you, you wouldn't tell me some of it.
No, I wouldn't tell you that.
You said Stephen King could not have come up with some of this. Right. It's so bad.
And I keep thinking, because some of it sounds like my mom was mentally ill, so some of it I've read. I read some of these like whistleblower reports that could call into the FBI, and they were like, and then the CIA, the CIA was trafficking me, and there was a microchip in my body. I'm like, okay, all right. And people are posting them like it's real. I'm like, this one sounds like someone who called in a tip that was mentally ill. However, there's a bunch of other ones that are so specific and so like not like they don't have that element of like really they implanted a microchip and a tracking wire in my leg, and I was like, okay, and
this does sound like your mom.
It does sound like my mom. And then there's a bunch of other ones that are so real you just like, holy God, this is gonna be. And here,
explain this to me. These files that were released were police reports that had these calls coming in, or
some of them were like, yeah, that's what it looked like. And then some of them were actual emails from people that like, hey, Epstein, when's the party, man? Can we go down to the island?
I did hear about some emails.
And Elon was one of those, and they actually blew him off. Yes. They're like, yeah, man, we're not doing that anymore. I'm sorry. It's the kid that doesn't get invited to the birthday party. We're not having a birthday party. The balloons, we always have balloons.
He even got kicked out of Pedophile Island. That is
they were like,
pretty bad.
He's too creepy for Pedophile Island.
Although after watching him try to tell a joke on Rogan, I get it. Who wants to hang out and have drinks with that guy? Richard Branson was in some of those, I thought.
And I was just, Richard Branson talks about it, and he says something about, you can bring it up probably. But here, I want to just do a kind of overall thing. So I've been wrapping my mind around this, that like, because Trump was saying they're made up, it's a hoax, everything's a hoax. I don't know how everything's a hoax. How's everything a hoax? Like the charity, hoax. The tax thing, hoax. The rape that he got convicted of, a hoax.
I know, but I keep saying to you, what is a hoax, you guys? What? We haven't said, we're not saying anything. What we're saying is, I don't know why I'm talking like that. What I'm saying is, we want you to release the files. Please release the files. You're past the legal deadline for releasing the files. Hoax. What is a hoax?
No, we're just asking you to just do what you said you were going to do and got elected on, actually.
Right.
Yeah. So.
I feel like by him saying it's a hoax, he's acknowledging his own implication in it. And it's almost like an admission of guilt. He skipped some steps there. Right. We didn't say anything.
So what I wanted to say was, I keep wrapping my mind around, well, these are made up, right? Let's say someone made these up. Mm-hmm. Okay. If they were made up, and let's say they were released by Pam Bondi and the FBI, it's Trump's DOJ, right? They're all Trump's FBI. Patel's running it. If these are the files they faked, I don't think they're fake. Here's why: Biden's not mentioned and Obama's not mentioned.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So if you were going to fake some files, wouldn't you go after your opponents? Wouldn't you go after Schumer's not in it, Jeffries isn't in it, Pelosi's not in them? Yeah. Like, so if you were going to fake a bunch of bullshit, wouldn't you implicate all these guys?
Yeah, I do think that was a missed opportunity.
If it's a hoax, so there's no files about the people that actually turned the country around and then did good jobs as president. Mm-hmm. However, Chuck Schumer's in. I don't know if he's just mentioned in it, I guess, for whatever reason. Jeffrey Epstein.
Say that more slowly.
Chuck Schumer is in the files, but there's no files where Chuck Schumer's on the island. It was a discussion about Chuck Schumer, I guess.
Well, that's why I think you have to be careful too, because I said to you, like, the media is just tallying how many mentions of these different people there are, and his was like 57. Well, he's also the state senator where Epstein lived, so who knows what? I'm not saying either way. I don't know, but there were no emails between the two of them. We know that. And mentions of any of these people could be
innocuous.
Yeah.
Right. So, but that way, that's a Democrat mindset. Whereas the Republican mindset is, there's a laptop and it's got everything on it. And the devil, there worshiping. And it also kind of came out that Epstein.
Oh, this is interesting.
That Epstein is was very connected to supposedly the Mossad.
Okay, but
the CIA
is this
said
confirmed? Because this has been rumored for a long time.
But here's the problem. The simplest explanation is the most accurate usually, right?
Okay.
So if you think about all these people that Epstein was connected to, they couldn't figure out what his income was. In fact, his income was so weird that all the banks flagged it. Banks were worried where the money was coming from. Now,
right.
And so there's Putin's mentioned in it repeatedly. There is a couple emails where Epstein asks to meet Putin and talk to him. There's a couple of those emails. I
saw that.
And that's going through like Lavrov and some other guys on the Putin side. So it is so, and then you look at how Trump has been connected to the Russians for so long, all the way back to the 80s. And then you go, they were best friends, Trump and Epstein. It totally makes sense.
One thing I will say is that you really get how interconnected they all have been for decades.
Yes.
Jim Jordan, we now know, was tied in allegedly, according to the documents released by their DOJ, to Epstein. And I thought Trump and Jim Jordan didn't know each other before this presidency. Bill Barr, all these people, Pam Bondi, they've all been working together. So,
but it's super weird though. Bill Barr,
in this new Epstein file release, I'm going to talk about that.
1 sec. Well, you interrupted me.
No, I was just making the speech about how interconnected everything was.
But Bill Barr's dad, hired Epstein.
Right.
Okay. With no degree to teach. He didn't have a degree to teach, and he hired him as a teacher.
Right. We've beaten that to death. We've been talking about that. To what you said, it was part of the Epstein file release from Trump's DOJ that has documents that claim that Trump was compromised by Israel. Epstein was a spy working for Mossad. The FBI report, it's an FBI report, citing these claims to a confidential human resource, was in the 3 million plus documents released. They also allege, the FBI reports, that U.S. officials were under the influence of Israel, Russia, and the UAE, and that Kushner was colluding with Chabad, state-sanctioned visible movement of Hasidic Judaism. It alleges that Kushner and his family for years have engaged in money laundering, but didn't his father go to prison for that?
Yes, his father actually did. Alleged. Yeah, except his dad did time.
Corrupt business practices and violation of election laws.
So when you go to the UAE and you go to the Russian thing and you go to Israel, all those things Trump continues to visit and continues to support, even to the point where he's against Ukraine and Putin invaded Ukraine. So it all there's nothing in here. If the CIA and the FBI investigated this and that's what their conclusion was, what I don't understand is we have no evidence about Biden or Obama or Hunter, all the or Hillary or Pelosi, all this shit they've been talking for how many years? No evidence. We get a tranche of 3 million documents that if you go through the documents, there's so much damning shit. It's crazy. And yet this man is still president. Anybody else would have resigned, or the party would have kicked him out. The Democrats would have kicked this guy out if it was a Democrat. I don't get it.
He gets away with everything. What does he care?
But there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Here's the thing. So do you remember when Paul Pelosi was attacked?
Yes.
Horribly.
Yes.
Had his skull crushed in.
With a hammer.
Has brain damage.
Yep.
And they all, the Christian right, Republicans, laughed. Mm-hmm. Trump made jokes about it. So did Carrie Lake
Junior
made jokes about it.
Put a picture of underwear of the hammer.
Yes.
My Halloween costume.
Somebody, and I think you should go into this whole thing about 4chan and QAnon. It's very interesting and suddenly all makes sense. It's kind of what we thought. Mm-hmm. But somebody released, and now we probably know who, that Paul Pelosi was gay. And this was a gay escort that he was having a lover's quarrel with while Nancy was away in Washington. And it was a whole thing. This was actually said to me by a family member.
Right.
Zero evidence of that. None.
To this day still.
They all believe it.
Right.
Then the guy comes out and says, no, I did it because of politics.
Right.
I had this, here's my list of other Democratic politicians I was going to attack. He actually had a written list of like 12 people.
Not his gay lover.
And I was angry because of what they've been saying about Republicans. And they still believe it. And that's the difference with that party and Democrats. I feel like, for us, when you said Bill Clinton was in the files, I was like, well, yeah, it was so not surprising.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
And
in fact, if you had to guess, you'd be...
That'd be one of my first guesses.
Right.
Not even just of Democrats, but of humans.
Right.
But I think that if he did break the law and did anything to children, he should rot in prison.
Yeah.
And that's the other difference between us now, which is kind of mind-boggling.
In a lot of ways, us Democrats, we're so careful about what we're trying to figure out. Because some of the stuff I read this weekend, it's so horrific. I feel like my brain got dirty. Mm-hmm. Like my brain is scuzz now.